gracious and glorious God, we give you thanks for the presence of your Son amidst us. May the Spirit flow through us and guide us as we come together, lifting our voices in song, as we come together reading the Scriptures, as we hear that soft, gentle voice. Lay your burdens upon me, and I will give you rest. So, Lord, let the meditation of my heart and the words of my lips be acceptable in your sight. So I pray in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. You may be seated. Gospel lesson this morning will come from the Gospel of Mark in the 6th chapter, verses 30 through 32, and also 53 through 56. So hear these words. The apostles gathered around Jesus and told him all that they had done and all that they had taught. And he said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest for a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. Now many saw them going, and they recognized them. And they hurried there on foot from all the towns, and arrived there ahead of them. And as he went ashore, he saw a great crowd. And he had compassion for them, because they were like a sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. And when they had crossed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret and moored the boat. And when they got out of the boat, people at once recognized them. And they rushed about the whole region and began to bring the sick on mats to wherever they heard he was. And wherever he went, into villages or cities or farms, they laid the sick in the marketplaces and begged him that they might even touch the fringe of his cloak. And all who touched it were healed. These are the words of God for the people of God, and we say, thank you, God. You know, how many of us after work or some other activity that we do are ready just to go home, sit for a spell, and try to unwind just to get some much-needed rest? And you know what? You catch that moment, and you just savor the peace and the quiet. I know that I myself will fall into my recliner. Literally fall into it. I'll maybe turn on a ball game or watch a NASCAR race, throw my hands behind my head and just start to get comfortable. And the phone rings. Or maybe the missus has some undone task that needs my undying attention right then and there. I don't know how you respond, but my normal reaction is, now what? This is Sunday. Are we not supposed to get some rest? I can just imagine what the disciples were thinking as they had been on a roller coaster ride of emotions. Jesus had sent them out to do the work of evangelism, sent them out by twos, to heal the sick and the lame, cast out demons, and on top of all that, they have learned that John the Baptist had been killed. But even through all of that, they were excited about coming back and telling Jesus all that they had done, all that they had taught. They were excited about it. And Jesus knew that they were tired. He knew that. And after all, he was tired. He had seen that they were very busy and they deserved some much-needed rest. And even when they meet back up with Jesus, among the crowd of people, because he was there working, they jumped in and worked right along with him. They worked so much they didn't even have time to stop and eat. And Jesus gathered them up and said, "Come away with me to a quiet place." For many people were coming and going, and with all that was going on, they had no time to stop for themselves. I wonder if they even had time to stop for a bathroom break. They were constantly busy with the lives of people. But being a Christian is sometimes like that. It's like a tide in the ocean. It's moving in and it's moving out. There's a rhythm to the tide. You go into the presence of God from the presence of people, and coming out from the presence of people, going back into the presence of God. But we cannot work unless we have time to rest. No one, no matter who they are, could work without some kind of rest in between. And sleep will not come unless you've done a good day's work, to become tired. None of us can work through our Christian life unless we have first time to come to God. And the best time to be with God, for the most part, is during our rest. Some of the best times to be with God. And Jesus and his disciples, they find themselves in the overworked part of the tide that's moving in. And he knew that he and the others needed some quiet time. And they go off on a vacation, so to speak. But it was not to be. It was not to be. They get into the boat, set sail to a solitary place, but the people must have known where they were heading. And when they get out of the boat, "Surprise, Jesus! We followed you all the way over here. Aren't you happy to see us? We knew you'd be excited." He just knew you'd be excited. I'm not so sure what my response would have been. Then again, I'm not Jesus. I mean, if it was me, I probably would have picked up a rock or some sticks and just started chasing people away. No, I wouldn't. But I would have felt like it. And I would have felt like I would have just had all the wind knocked out of my sail. But Jesus, looking around at the crowd, he had compassion on them. He had compassion on all these people, and he said that they were like sheep without a shepherd. Then he began to teach them. And with the disciples right beside him, they were being taught as well. And of course, in the middle of this story, we had skipped over a good part. Jesus and them fed 5,000 people. They were busy people. Busy people. They had their hands full. Then after that, immediately he and the disciples get back in the boat once again and head for Gennesaret. And again, upon landing, people recognized Jesus, and they started flocking to him. People started bringing their sick all over the place, bringing them on mats and carrying them however they could get them there. They were bringing